There shall be signs in the sun, and in the moon, and in the stars, and upon the earth distress of nations, with perplexity, the sea and the waves roaring, men's hearts failing them for fear, and for looking after those things which are coming on the earth. For the powers of heaven shall be shaken.
Oh my God! Oh my God!
Are we watching a tornado form right there? Oh my gosh!
Oh my God!
Oh my gosh! Oh my gosh! Oh my gosh!
I saw when the Lamb opened one of the seals, and I heard one of the four living creatures say with a voice like thunder, "Come and see." And I looked, and behold, a white horse, and he that sat on him had a bow, and a crown was given unto him, and he went forth conquering, and to conquer.
Recently, at the presentation of the Olympic Games in France, there was something unusual about this event. Of course, there were many things, but one of the most notable was the appearance of a white horse with a faceless rider. This has raised suspicions and questions. What do they want to show the world? What is hidden behind this event? Does the white horse and its rider represent the Antichrist, and are they warning us of his appearance? Is this a sign of something greater to come? Everyday world events seem to reflect the fulfillment of biblical prophecies, as evidenced by the recent opening of the Olympic Games in France, where acts disconnected from the context of the games and provocative elements included the appearance of a white horse ridden by a faceless man dressed in black.
In these Olympics. And it was so much fun to see, particularly the crowd sort of getting behind, as we have a bit of an earthquake here in Los Angeles. So we're just going to make sure that our studio lights, everything stays safe, everything's shaking. You good, Mylan? Everybody good? All right, thank you so much for bearing with us through that. Our studio was shaking just a little bit.
Powerful earthquake rocking the Los Angeles area. The U.S. Geological Survey reports the epicenter of this 4.4 magnitude quake was just a few miles outside of downtown L.A. near Pasadena.
Okay, and now we're looking at Studio City right now. This is just a video of taken up there. You see the shaking. Must have been one of their outside cameras there, but you can really tell the shaking there from that particular camera in Studio City.
But let me tell you, it was strong. I mean, there were people inside this newsroom when it happened. There was real panic, and people felt it across the region.
And all of this happening as other news has been developing throughout the day.
Oh, wildfires, earthquakes, gonna look crazy here. So,
well, we're used to these earthquakes where you feel a little bit of shaking and then maybe it'll pass. But this one kind of felt like it lasted beyond the initial 10-second shaker.
With the pickle spear and the peppers and the tomatoes, that's an earthquake. That's an earthquake.
Oh, wow, that is a real earthquake.
Whoa, that is a real one, guys. All right.
Whoa. That is real.
Hold on.
In tonight's Fact or Fiction, we're looking into a story that seems hard to believe. It claims the horror movie Late Night with the Devil made $666,666 at the box office yesterday. And that is apparently true. According to Variety, the independent film finished 6th at the box office over the weekend, earning a total of $2.8 million, and that includes $666,666 yesterday. 666 is, of course, the symbol of the devil in modern popular culture. Fortunately, if you're looking to ward off evil spirits, the #1 movie over the weekend was Ghostbusters: Frozen Empire. If you would like to submit a question to us, just go to 10news.com, click on Fact or Fiction. We'll be right back.
Welcome to the show. It's a pleasure having you. Congratulations on your new podcast on the Bill Maher Network.
Thank you.
I'm sure it will be wonderful. Am I crazy to think the world is falling apart, and should we blame Biden?
If you're crazy, then I'm crazy too.
Okay.
Am I right?
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, listen, I don't want to be right on this, but it's just called reality at this point. And maybe it's an age thing as well. I've been around too long and you just see how it used to be. At the end of the day, yeah, you look, and I have 2 kids in college right now. My daughter called me. She's like, Mom, hold on tight. This might be the end. When you look at all of the things that are happening and kind of the why behind them. And to me, it's not just like coincidence. There's like darkness, evil
Weird
involved
stuff.
in a lot of this. Yeah, I mean, and I don't like it, but that's where we are. So what do we do to fix it?
I actually built a panic room inside my panic room. And inside that one, oatmeal.
But tonight isn't just about the people in front of the camera. In this room are some of the most important TV and film executives in the world. People from every background, but they all have one thing in common. They're all terrified of Ronan Farrow.
Ronan Farrow's explosive reporting on Harvey Weinstein's alleged sexual abuse of women helped to launch the Me Too movement in 2017, winning him and other reporters a Pulitzer Prize the year after.
He's coming for you. He's coming for you. Look, talking of all you perverts, it was a big year. It was a big year for paedophile movies. Surviving R. Kelly, Leaving Neverland, 2 Popes. Shut up. Shut up. I don't care. No one cares about movies anymore. No one goes to the cinema. No one really watches network TV. Everyone's watching Netflix. This show should just be me coming out going, well done, Netflix, you win everything. Good night. But no, we got to drag it out for 3 hours. You could binge watch the entire first season of Afterlife instead of watching this show. That's a show about a man who wants to kill himself because his wife dies of cancer. And it's still more fun than this, okay? Spoiler alert, season 2 is on the way, so in the end, he obviously didn't kill himself. Just like Jeffrey Epstein. Shut up. I know he's your friend, but I don't care. You had to make your own way here in your own plane, didn't you?
We found Diddy. The disgraced billionaire hip-hop mogul and Democrat Party community organizer was spotted for the first time since having his homes raided in a major sex trafficking investigation, similar to Jeffrey Epstein's, they say.
World-renowned Dallas pastor T.D. Jakes is named in a federal lawsuit against musician Sean Diddy Combs.
It's filed by a producer that worked with Combs. It discusses how the singer planned to leverage his relationship with the bishop.
They want to know who was in and out of Diddy's planes and his homes. As Lil Rod's lawsuit alleges, they weren't just up-and-coming artists. These were celebrities, politicians, athletes, international dignitaries, and music label executives, all captured on camera in Diddy's compounds.
There are some people who believe that they are, when they reach a certain level, invincible.
Mark Hawkins, a professor at LA Film School, also known as DJ Clientele, from World Class Wrecking Crew, a group that helped shape hip-hop.
There are certain things that I've seen in the business that would make me turn away.
The world got to see James Corden as a fat pussy. He was also in the movie Cats, but no one saw that. And the reviews, shocking. I saw one that said, this is the worst thing to happen to cats since dogs, right? But Dame Judi Dench defended the film, saying it was the role she was born to play, because she... I can't do this next joke. Because she loves nothing better than plonking herself down on the carpet, lifting her leg and licking... Verbal. She's old school. It's the last time, who cares?
The reason there's so many lies that humanity is embracing, the lies that are being embraced by humanity are setting humanity up for the destruction. They forgot one person, Jesus, who is the way, the truth, and the life. Now look, the churches are responsible.
A weak, immoral, disconnected, ignorant, and unhealthy population is an easy target for the next stage, the creation of an entire generation of androgynous beings. Masculinity is under attack psychologically, culturally, and biologically.
Many of the famous, if you will, 150-year-old preachers would always say that if Christianity were to die in America, it would die because the pulpits are dead. That's my version. But the point being is that we're at now a total embrace by them who are claimants to Christianity of every foul and unclean spirit that has been able to deceive them because of one thing: they have denied the testimony of Jesus.
It's an evil psyop with a clear agenda to get us closer to transhumanism by making us question the most fundamental notion of human identity, our gender.
The oldest lie in the Bible, in the book of Genesis, ye shall be as God.
We are going to become gods. Period. If you don't like it, get off. You don't have to contribute. You don't have to participate. But if you're going to interfere with me becoming God, then you're going to have big trouble. Then we'll have warfare.
Hey, want a new friend? I'll fix this. In fact, I'll recreate friendship. I'll recreate human relations. I'll recreate God and the absolute, the blasphemy that even connotes around the world. You're going to artificially create a new God?
It's the intelligent design of some God above the clouds. But our intelligent design, we are really upgrading humans into gods. We are requiring, for instance, the power to re-engineer life. I mean, all this story about Jesus rising from the dead and being the Son of God, this is fake news. AI can create new ideas, can even write a new Bible. We, throughout history, religions dreamt about having a book written by a superhuman intelligence, by a non-human entity. Every religion claims our book, all the other books of the other religions, humans wrote them. But our book, no. It came from some superhuman intelligence. In a few years, there might be religions that are actually correct. That just think about a religion whose holy book is written by an AI. That could be a reality in a few years.
That's some terrifying news. I hope everyone is safe and take all the necessary precautions to avoid any danger.
President Biden issued an executive order to explore the creation of a U.S. central bank digital currency, effectively converting the dollar into a centralized digital currency.
What if I told you 90% now of the world's central banks say they're investigating central bank digital coins?
The elites are laughing at us. They've come right out and said it. By 2030, they want us to own nothing and be happy. And it's not hard to see that this plan is already in motion. Just last week, Wells Fargo warned its clients that all checking accounts are likely to be replaced with digital dollars. What does that mean exactly? The answer may surprise you, but it could turn most Americans completely upside down. And anyone who is not prepared will be caught completely off guard and could end up holding a bunch of worthless dollars. If you have any US dollars in your bank account right now, I'm urging you to pay close attention to this video, because I'm going to explain the truth about this dollar recall. Look, the US dollar is in deep trouble. In the coming days, the supposedly safe dollars in your account could be rendered worthless.
It's the action plan, it's the blueprint, the comprehensive plan
that was signed on to by 178 nations plus the Holy See in 1992. It's the United Nations Plan to inventory and control all land, water, plants, minerals, construction, means of production, food, energy, everything on the planet.
2014, Klaus Schwab called for the Great Reset. We need a Great Reset, which he positioned as the solution to the world's most urgent issues. The dark reality of Schwab's agenda is detailed in his best-selling book, COVID-19, The Great Reset. His endgame mission is to replace independent governance with a top-down controlled, one world government and a central bank-controlled digital currency. I just would like to highlight what you said about the European Chips Act, because it's an important step to create the physical brain for digitalization and to have it located to a certain extent in Europe. Pour tout ça, on parle de plus on pourra s'implanter, ce sera comme ça. Certainement dans les 10 années à venir. Et d'abord, on va les implanter dans nos vêtements, c'est-à-dire wearables. For the next version of the glasses, one of the things that I'm pretty excited about, I think we'll start getting some consumer neural interfaces soon. I think that's going to be pretty wild. Imagine the joy of connecting with your loved ones, browsing the web, or even playing games using only your thoughts.
The microchips are already here.
The microchip implants use the same technology that's in contactless credit cards.
Wants the digital currency so bad, he can taste it. What exactly is a centralized digital currency? Well, it's a digital form of central bank money that is widely available to the general public. That's the actual definition of it.
The Chinese last month unveiled the world's first digital currency from a major power. Currency that would not be printed but would exist only in cyberspace on your phone, for example. Is the Fed working on a digital dollar?
We are actually evaluating that. Most major countries are now looking at the possibility of having a digital currency and really asking the question, in our very modern advanced economy with a fast, efficient, full-blown payment system, would adding a digital currency, a form of digital currency, would it actually benefit the public that we serve? That's the question that we're asking.
The federal government and the likes of the WEF, the World Economic Forum, know they can't circumvent the Constitution, so the only way is to make you bend to their will by controlling your livelihood. How are they going to do that? Simple. Make sure that they control, or at least have knowledge of, all of your money and every financial transaction you make. Digital currency.
With this kind of surveillance, you watch the big president, the big leader, gives a speech on television. The television could be monitoring you and knowing whether you're angry or not, just by analyzing the cues, the biological cues coming from your body. So people are now watching us online, all over the world, this conversation. Now, maybe even right now, the people who are watching us are being watched and analyzed. And the thing is, it's not just you're now watching this. The thing is, we know that you're watching this, and we also know how you feel. Are you angry about what you hear? Are you frightened? Are you bored? This is the kind of power that Stalin didn't have. When Stalin gave a speech, everybody, of course, clapped their hand and smiled. Now, how do you know what they really think about Stalin? It's very difficult. But in 10 years, the future Stalins of the 21st century, they could be watching the minds, the brains of all the population all the time, And also they will have the computing power to analyze all that. Now you don't need human agents, you don't need human analyzers, you just have a lot of sensors and an AI which analyzes it, and that's it. You have the worst totalitarian regime in history.
All of the systems, they had stolen and were stealing not just one person's memories, they were stealing everyone's, everywhere, all the time, and they still are right now. And so I got up out of the chair and, I wanted not to say this is the way the world should be. I wanted to give it to you. I wanted to say this is what's happening. And it really, guys, the question for you is, how do you want to live? We are today being used against the future. We're being used against our children. Everything we do now lasts forever.
They've gone full mask off. Do not ever trust at OpenAI or its products, ChatGPT, etc. There's only one reason for appointing the NSA Gov director to your board. This is a willful, calculated betrayal of the rights of every person on Earth. You have been warned.
Are we all here? I need 100% participation for this to work. Yeah, everyone's here. All 11 of us. Well, what's the plan?
Well, as you know, Jesus is dead. But stick with me, okay? Stick with me. I have a plan. We are going to steal his body.
Okay, I'm tracking with you. What's next?
And then we're going to tell the whole world that he rose from the dead.
Oh, you know I'm in. I love it already. All right, classic. Then what? And then we're all going to get brutally murdered.
Wait, come again. Could you go over that last part real quick?
So what? We get murdered. What's the problem?
I like it. I like it. I mean, don't get me wrong, Pete. I love me a good hoax as much as the next guy, right? What's in it for us? Do we all get riches, fame, and fortune first, right?
No, get this. You're going to be hated, persecuted, and reviled for the rest of your life.
Prophecies within the New Testament predict a period of extraordinary tribulation. 7 years of mounting calamities, climaxing with the end of days. The prophecies foretell that we will experience unprecedented suffering and great cataclysms. It is said that it will be worse than any other natural disaster in the history of humankind.
I have a story to tell. It is absolutely the most important thing nobody is talking about. Earth has a disaster cycle, and it is about to happen again. Every single sign is already here. The progress of the catastrophe is accelerating. It is the magnetic pole shift, and it will touch everything in this world, every creature, every piece of critical infrastructure that keeps the modern civilization alive. The weather, volcanoes, earthquakes, and it will usher in the next age of Earth. The story needs a new delivery, with the best experts in the world weighing in. We are all running out of time. This is your chance.
Book of Enoch, chapter 65. And Noah saw the earth turned over and knew its destruction was near.
My master designed every tool imaginable to destroy every facet of the enemy's creation. We failed because of the carpenter. He was the thorn in our side, our greatest threat. We thought if we could eliminate him, the world would be ours forever. We had no idea of the consequences. The cross was our greatest mistake. And we thought we'd lost, James. Until my master realized that man still wants to be his own god.
We are going to become gods.
We've never been freer. Literacy is at an all-time high. We're working to eliminate racism, intolerance,
gender inequality. People can love who they want, be who they want, do what they want. Diversity is no longer a dream. Hate speech is no longer tolerated. And politically, we're reclaiming the moral high ground.
I think I love you. Literacy, James. James, the average high school graduate reads at a 6th grade level. You have basketball players making $30 million a year decrying racism, all while wearing sneakers made from slave labor. Here's something for you. Right now, your world currently has 40 million slaves, more than the Romans had at the height of their empire. Bottom line is you're done. And we did it all right to your face, and now there's evil everywhere. And no one even cares. Slowly, with your movies, your TV, and your media, we desensitized you, redirected your worldview to the point that you can't even recognize evil when it's right in front of your face. You can't even feel it when you're doing it.
Things get to terrible places one tiny step at a time. You know, if I encroach on you and I'm sophisticated about it, I'm going to encroach 2 millimeters. I'm going to encroach right to the point where you start to protest. Then I'm going to stop. Then I'm going to wait. Then you're going to calm down. Then I'm going to encroach again, right to the point where you protest. Then I'm going to stop. Then I'm going to wait. And I'm just going to do that forever. And before you know it, you're going to be back 3 miles from where you started, and you'll have done it one step at a time. And then you'll go, oh, how'd I get here? And the answer was, well, I pushed you a little farther than you should have gone, and you agreed. And so then I pushed you a little farther than you should have gone again, and you agreed.
And they don't even see it coming.
It's all been building to what the government ultimately wants. By now you probably get it. Control. They will literally create a crisis, then use it to get more control, and then they'll always lead to another crisis, which leads to the government taking more control. And the cycle continuously repeats itself. And what's the next major step in all this control? You already know how much they take from you in taxes, how much it costs you to borrow the money because they own interest rates. So why not try to control the money left over still sitting in your bank account? You got it. The federal government and the likes of the WEF, the World Economic Forum, know they can't circumvent the Constitution, so the only way is to make you bend to their will by controlling your livelihood. How are they going to do that? Simple. Make sure that they control, or at least have knowledge of, all of your money and every financial transaction you make. Digital currency. Now, look, even CNN noted the United States is the latest to signal urgency in the research and potential digital version of its dollar via a central bank digital currency, or CBDC. That's CNN saying that. That is how they're going to do it. They're going to sell it to you under the guise of ease, security, greater good, whatever. And the U.S. government is taking their lead from someone who no one elected, has demonstrated he can't be trusted, and has also no real qualifications to be given any advice on financial stuff on the world stage. Ladies and gentlemen, I give you the real-life Dr. Evil, Klaus Schwab, the man that every power-hungry leftist worships. And this man wants the digital currency so bad, he can taste it. What exactly is a centralized digital currency? Well, it's a digital form of central bank money that is widely available to the general public. That's the actual definition of it. Now, a centralized digital currency, also known as a CBDC, would differ from existing digital money, like the Bitcoin, which we'll talk about in a sec, because it would be a liability of the Federal Reserve, not of a commercial bank. Its value, its availability, and even whether or not you can spend it and what you can spend it on would be mostly controlled by unelected bureaucrats. You thought the Patriot Act, FISA courts, and the FBI spying on you, stripping you of your freedoms? You think that was bad? Just wait for this. This will, not may, it will lead to confiscation, maybe expiration dates on funds that you thought you owned. Blacklisting products and people. You don't think Gavin Newsom, that wacko out in California, isn't salivating at the ability to limit the amount of money you can spend on a gun? Like China is doing right now. It can even go the way of the social credit score. They're doing that too. China's digital yuan makes it easier for the Communist Party to view users' financial data and censor their activity. Weird. You think I'm crazy? Think again. They're doing this right out in the open, and no one is calling them on it. Take a look. Quote, Joe Biden ordered federal agencies to start to study the implications of a government-backed digital currency. The Federal Reserve is on the bandwagon for this, with studies and experiments already underway. But what's standing in their way? Well, Two things. One is cash. They need to get rid of a cash-based system if they're going to do this, because if non-trackable cash is an option, people will just convert their digital currency over to cash and get around the government's restrictions. It has that pesky little thing on it for all debts, public and private. And two, private digital currency like Bitcoin. Why? Well, it's blockchain technology. It exists everywhere and nowhere, with no way for the government to manipulate or control it. You think I'm lying? Remember the 3 banks that just went bust? Silicon Valley Bank, First Republic Bank, and Signature Bank. All premier banks for Bitcoin or the like. Why do you think they didn't get bailed out? It's all connected, folks. So how do you get people to willingly give up their own autonomy, especially their financial autonomy? Simple. Give them free money. They'll take it. UBI, Universal Basic Income. And no surprise, like always, our buddy Klaus Schwab and the rest of these globalist, communists, and lizard people are trying to use a crisis to impose it. Check this out. What do you think the lockdowns were about? And why do you think they closed mom and pop stores but let big box retailers stay open? Forced economic consolidation. World governments knew that if they could make people suffer financially, they could get them to rely on government. It's being tried in England right now. I'm showing you the receipts, folks. COVID was a trial run. In May, CBS News reported, prepare for the next pandemic. Future pathogens with, quote, an even deadlier potential than COVID. That's the WHO chief, the World Health Organization that nobody wants to listen to anymore. What they are doing is so blatant that even a member of the European Parliament, Christine Anderson, called it out. Listen to this.
This whole COVID madness, this so-called pandemic, it was just a test balloon. For what, you ask? Well, to see how far they could go. To see what exactly they would have to do to get free individuals in a free and democratic society to consent to being forced into compliance.
80,000 Bitcoin millionaires have disappeared. Let me say that again. 80,000 Bitcoin millionaires have disappeared. A lot of these Bitcoin millionaires were buying $200,000 watches, million-dollar homes, multi-million-dollar homes, what do you call it, Lamborghinis, Ferraris, Rolls-Royce. That's gone. And what are people doing now who own their homes? They're like, oh my God, babe, we got to sell our house. We got to sell our house. Well, let's put it up for $1 million. You can put it with whatever price you want to put it up right now. It ain't going to sell at that price for a minute. Some people may get lucky in some pockets, but real estate's going to take a hit. And I predict, I may be wrong, and I'm hoping I'm wrong. I predict the next 2 years is going to be very, very ugly.
Now to the war in Ukraine, taking a major turn. For the first time since the Russian invasion, the Ukrainian military is launching a large-scale assault inside Russia.
The IDF says it has struck a number of Hezbollah terror infrastructure sites in southern Lebanon overnight. This as troops are moving forward with operations in Rafah and central Gaza.
Hezbollah's leader Hassan Nasrallah today calling on all Arab states to take a stance.
Our response, God willing, will be strong, influential and effective. Between us and Israel are only a few days and nights till we meet in the battlefield.
Meanwhile, Hezbollah says they'll keep striking Israel with or without Iran's help. The two sides exchanging fire over the Lebanon border, with one Israeli strike killing 5 people on Tuesday. And as fighting continues in Gaza, the humanitarian crisis there is worsening.
And medical sources in Gaza are telling ABC News that so far today, more than 50 people have been killed in Israeli strikes. In Gaza City in the north, we know Israel has struck 2 schools, at least 12 people killed in those strikes, according to Gaza's civil defense. The Israeli military says those 2 schools were being used by Hamas as command and control centers. The IDF also telling civilians in certain parts of southern Gaza to move ahead of more military operations. And it's true, Diane, Israel's war in Gaza has been overshadowed this week by the threat of strikes by Iran and or by Hezbollah.
Israel lives in an existential moment. They either succeed or their enemies seek to eliminate them.
Fighter jets streaking across the sky near the Russian border of Sudzha, which is home to critical natural gas infrastructure. Ukrainian troops have seized several villages and they've advanced nearly 10 miles into Russian territory. That's according to pro-Kremlin military bloggers. The Ukrainians haven't commented on this operation. But overnight, their troops are also storming the Russian-occupied Kherson region in southern Ukraine. President Vladimir Putin has convened an urgent security meeting. And he's called Ukraine's incursion a large-scale provocation and vowed to crush the assault.
With the war in Ukraine, they've allied Russia and Iran, and Russia is spiriting S-300 air defense systems into Tehran at a very rapid pace. So, and that, of course, is to prepare for any kind of Israel counterattack against whatever Iran does. So we are on the brink of something pretty large here.
Here is the region right now and the growing fears of a wider war. What does Iran do? What do they order Hezbollah to do in Lebanon? And what happens with the ongoing war in Gaza? It is a three-front operation here, a fourth front if you throw in Yemen and the Houthis down here at the end of the Red Sea.
There have now been more than 170 attacks on U.S. forces in the Middle East in less than a year.
Part of an increase of attacks on Americans in recent weeks.
Israel is under existential attack here from Hezbollah, from Hamas, from the Shia militia groups that Iran funds from Iran. So we are on the brink of something pretty large here.
China has declared the United States an adversary. They want to dominate and control the region at the expense of the United States. They want to replace the United States as the world's leader, having global impact, and take our place in doing that. And clearly they want us to lose all of our influence regionally and globally as a result of those two goals and objectives. And when we look at the United States preparations for a war dealing with China, we're challenged to win. Indeed, we could lose. And we would likely, if we're at war with China, what we're saying is that it is likely that we would find ourselves in other theaters, Russia expanding or Iran expanding as well, and find ourselves in a global war. And we haven't faced anything like that since World War II. That's the challenge that is really in front of us. And I think it's the most serious and dangerous challenges we have faced in many, many decades.
In 1859, the Virgin Electric Age was razed, literally, to the ground, as the Carrington Event solar storm surged electric current through the planet that would not only set telegraph wires on fire, but would induce the beginning of the modern magnetic excursion of Earth. The Earth's field began shifting. The climate began warming. The magnetic field began weakening, the poles shifting faster and faster. It would be more than 100 years before we'd realize that the other planets were changing too. And we would wait just as long to learn that the stars in line with the center of the galaxy were performing record outburst activity, one after another, in a line, and were next. It would be 2020 before we learned that the sun's coronal magnetic fields were reacting, and the chemistry of its atmosphere was beginning to change, most notably in the helium. The changes we see from the ground are more due to Earth's changing magnetic field and its effect on the upper atmospheric lens through which we view the sun, such that the once yellow sun now looks more white at greater and greater angles of the day. I know many remember the look of the yellow sun. I'm just old enough to remember it looking white near the noon position and thinking, maybe it's just too bright to see the yellow properly way up there. First horseman, dressed in white, wearing a crown at the top of the sky. That takes us from 1859 to today. And the big question is, what happens next?
Not because we're pessimists, but just because we're historians. And sometimes being ignorant is a lot easier than being informed. So what are we supposed to do with all this? Well, I think the first and foremost thing is, I think we need to recognize that we are living in these chapters, or we're very close to them. We're going to very potentially see these things play out in our lifetimes. We certainly see it happening in slow motion when you realize that when it says that Israel will be invaded by the Iranians and the Lebanese and the Syrians and the Iraqis and all these surrounding countries, when it says list by name who these countries are and they will surround it, and then we look at the Middle East today and go, wait a minute, that's exactly what's happening. And we see at the same time that the United States is refusing to send the armaments that the Israelis need to continue to defend themselves, especially the advanced weapons. They said, oh yeah, we're going to send them to them in 2036. Yeah, I don't think they'll need them before then. On and on it goes, and you just realize it's like we're the prisoners of history in the sense that the Bible says these are things that are going to happen.
Welcome to the Neuralink show and tell.
We're all scared that a bad guy could grab it.
Microsoft founder Bill Gates is the largest private owner of American farmland. Gates alone holds over 275,000 acres across 19 states.
Our government allowed two giant companies controlled by foreign governments to come in and acquire. One of them is controlled by the Chinese, and they bought Smithfield out of North Carolina, and the other one was a Brazilian company that came in and bought up one of the other major players. Why would we want to have an antagonist own 25% of our meat processing? It makes no sense.
It may sound like the stuff out of movies, but an asteroid hurtling towards the Earth is something real-life scientists are preparing for at NASA. They're refining the plan because in a few short years, a space rock could come quite close.
Well, astronomers may be witnessing something never seen before by humans, a supermassive black hole roaring back to life. In 2019, astronomers noticed a sudden spike in brightness in a galaxy 300 million light years away. They discovered the galaxy has been emitting more visible and infrared light in recent years and even started emitting X-rays in February. Researchers think they may be witnessing a supermassive black hole at the center of the galaxy awakening.
Well, if the solar eclipse and the northern lights weren't enough for you, a once-in-a-lifetime explosive event in space is expected soon, and it could light up our sky over Michigan.
NASA predicting a once-in-a-lifetime event sometime this month.
I get a
Clock's
date?
ticking.
Oh. Be on the lookout for what looks like a new star in the night sky between now and September. The rare brightening event is known as a nova.
NASA reports that a star system 3,000 light years away, known as T Coronae Borealis, is about to erupt in a rare nova explosion. This event will create a new star visible from Earth, possibly as bright as the North Star. The last time this happened was back in 1946. Scientists predict the explosion could occur by September, but the exact timing remains uncertain.
In about 5.5 years, a massive asteroid named Apophis, after the Egyptian god of chaos, will pass so close to the Earth, we'll be able to see it in the sky. And that has NASA scientists on high alert.
We want to be able to get a spacecraft out there weeks to months to get a look at Apophis before that close encounter with the Earth.
Scientists working with global partners carried out asteroid threat exercises back in April to figure out if a potential planet killer is headed our way and how the world would cooperate to safeguard Earth.
A group of researchers say they've identified at least 7 stars that might be surrounded by super advanced alien megastructures known as Dyson spheres. Yes, I said alien structures, and I know what you're thinking, but just stay with me here, because the basic idea was this. Superior intelligent life might build big structures around their home stars or planets as a way to harness or reuse that energy. A 1960s physicist who came up with this idea, Freeman Dyson, argued that if these structures existed, there'd be so much energy that human scientists on Earth could probably spot it because it would emit a lot of infrared radiation. So in this new study, researchers say they found 7 sources glowing in the infrared, those are their words, but couldn't find an obvious explanation for why these sources are glowing so much, which could mean they're Dyson spheres or something else entirely. And what I'm saying is, what? Space is so crazy. Do you think there is a scenario where a Dyson sphere might actually exist, or do you think this is really just the stuff of sci-fi fantasy?
I think it's feasible, unlikely. If you look at where we are since the Industrial Revolution, it's only a couple hundred years. We're in a precarious position. We have climate change. We have struggles with nuclear power, nuclear weapons that are could be destructive. It's unclear that any species that makes it that advanced could survive far enough into their own future to be able to build a Dyson sphere. But there are optimists out there who say we'll find a way.
Yeah, right. The universe is a pretty big place, right? And it'd be a shame if it was just seems like a lot of waste of space. Right?
Since late 2019, astronomers have observed some peculiar activity at a galaxy in the Virgo constellation that's some 300 light years away from us. And being 300 light years away means one would have to travel 300 years at the speed of light to reach that destination. More than 4 years ago, this galaxy started shining brighter than ever before, and astronomers started observing this phenomenon very closely. They noted how dramatically this galaxy's brightness and emissions have been changing over the last 4 years. In fact, researchers in the domain arrived at a few interesting possibilities. That this could probably be the first ever real-time observation of a black hole being activated.
Now, as insane as it may sound, it looks like a Harvard paper by social science researchers raised some pretty far out there possibilities that could explain the whole UAP stuff that I have become very obsessed with. They're posing 4 possibilities, like maybe crypto-terrestrials or like this secret advanced civilization that's been hiding somewhere here on Earth, or even maybe the moon where we can't see them, or maybe humans from the future are visiting us, or maybe like magical beings like fairies or angels are real.
To the deadly storms in the south. There were at least 4 reported tornadoes in 3 states yesterday. Of course, Ginger is tracking it all for us. And Ginger, this is 19 days in a row of twisters here in the country.
Yes, and the atmosphere already trying this morning, Michael, to make it 20, because we've got tornado warnings that have been happening the last couple of hours. Brand new tornado watch that is in place until 1 p.m. for everybody highlighted in yellow. That's Brunswick, Georgia, Jacksonville, Gainesville, down to, say, Crystal River in Florida. So it's going to be a really tough next couple of hours. And it's been a tough night with more than 130 severe reports all the way back to Texas. Are you kidding me? This morning, new video as tornadoes and severe storms rip across the Ozarks to the Gulf Coast, leaving at least 2 dead in Louisiana.
They go chair.
Debris flying in the streets of Sulphur, Louisiana after winds of more than 70 miles per hour sliced through the area. A likely tornado spotted, and its damage vivid. Cars flipped. The roof of this gas station mangled.
Is there anybody else in these other campers?
In St. Martin Parish, homes and trailers toppled. Survivors out surveying the devastation. Pieces of their lives scattered everywhere.
That's the craziest thing I've ever seen.
And a close encounter with an EF0 in Missouri.
It looks like it's getting bigger.
The twister with 75-mile-per-hour winds tearing across a golf course.
After what has been an absolutely brutal week of weather in the city. I mean, Degan, some of the ugliest days in memory were Tuesday and Wednesday of this week. Would you not agree?
I would say a couple of days ago, I would not have used the word biblical, but today, biblical. It's been a biblical week.
In New York City, nearly 60-mile-an-hour wind gusts.
Here we are. We're inside the United Nations Security Council meeting, and we want to see the expressions on their face. Everybody says, what in the world's going on?
Schools normally form a spine of protection for children, a place where children can seek humanitarian services and normality.
Yeah.
EarthCam even capturing the Statue of Liberty shaking.
This picture was taken during the storms yesterday. The lightning bolt seems to have directly hit and come out of Lady Liberty's torch there. So I don't know, you can almost take it in 2 different ways. Lightning coming from the sky and hitting the torch, or maybe the torch was just firing up a big strong bolt to the sky.
Muslims killing Christians. Hindus violently attacking Christians and Muslims. Sunni Muslims bombing Shiites in Iran.
I think within the next 24 hours, we're going to have a pretty good sense of whether or not we are climbing up the escalatory ladder to something the Middle East has never experienced before, which is a regional confrontation involving Lebanon, Iraq, Syria, an exchange of ballistic missiles, sustained strikes on the part of the Israelis against Iranian conventional, maybe unconventional sites, Hezbollah opening up with its 150,000 repository arsenal of high trajectory weapons, which would lead to the death of hundreds of Israelis. The Israelis would preempt or counter, destroying Lebanese infrastructure. Thousands of Lebanese would be killed. It's almost impossible to imagine, to add to this, that the United States would be able to stay on the sidelines. I'm not predicting that. I don't know where we're going on this one. But I think clearly, I tweeted out, and I don't want to trivialize, but I get this sense, you know, as in The Wizard of Oz, as Dorothy said to Toto, we're not in Kansas anymore. And even if you get through this phase without a major Iranian retaliation. The reality is Israel and Iran are going to be locked in this competitive struggle. There's no solution to the problem of Iranian proxies. There's no solution to the fact that Iran is a nuclear weapons threshold state. And this relationship is going to be hanging over the region and perhaps the international community like some sort of sword of Damocles.
Confirmation that Greenland ice not only melted away completely during the recent geologic past, but that it was indeed the entire island. While the paper uses this rapid change fact to offer fear about sea level rise due to melting, it also means that the ice reformed to the tune of 2 miles thick in much shorter timescales than they had imagined as well. During a period when they used to think it was relatively unchanging, with geologically slow transformation, it melted and reformed entirely.
Plasma shockwave struck Earth's magnetic field around lunchtime in the United States. It was very fast and moderate density shockwave with a powerful embedded magnetic field. The magnetic disruption to Earth came on much more quickly than anyone anticipated, and that includes me, who knows Earth's magnetic field is weakening. The geoelectric dynamics were furiously amplified in the Western world, and no, this mapping doesn't exist for anywhere else. But it was quite the pulse that we took as the geomagnetic storm reached level 4 just from this first impact, which was probably a combination of the first 2 eruptions, maybe 3. Magnetometer pulse was huge, similar to some of the biggest storms of the last 20 years, and we're just getting started.